Welcome to Beautifully Well Conversations with your girl, Coach Nick, National Board Certified Health Coach, carefully curating conversations for women, busy women like you, beautiful, who are on a mission to get those tips that we need to beautifully navigate life. Well, tonight's episode is special. It's actually a bonus because since the small start of this podcast, it's just been me, Nick, dishing some of the gems, giving you some tips. But tonight we're going to flip gears just a bit and talk a little bit about this entrepreneur journey and how it looks in a healthcare space, and circle back to some much needed self-care and how do we get it done when we're that busy professional or entrepreneur, mompreneur, mom CEO, woman CEO, period. Right? So tonight, joining us, I want you to give a round of applause. We get flowers while we're here, right? And I am uh, honored to have the beautiful Bianca Wise joining us. So instead of reading through this long bio, because it would take the whole podcast time,
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
just gonna jump right in and ask you to tell us a little bit about you and what has been happening over these past
Girl,
few years.
everything. Well, you know what? Thanks so much, Nick. I really appreciate the invite. Anytime somebody asks me to be a guest on their platform, I'm just always so humbled because it's like you wake up one day and you're like, what is this me? Am I really doing this? Right. So appreciate you, appreciate what you're doing in the healthcare space, especially for Baltimore. I love it. I love it. I love your energy. I love your spirit, everything about it. So I am Bianca Wise. I'm president and CEO of Home Helpers Home Care of Baltimore and Rockville, Maryland, where we are making life easier for our seniors, helping them stay safe, thriving, and independent in their homes. We do this with providing personal care, companionship, and respite care services, again, for seniors and people with continuing care needs. Uh, I don't know. Do you want me like go into the background of this or just
Well, you know what? I'm just impressed, and I know it's only been a short period of time since we connected in our new healthcare working group, which is amazing for us to push through these silos. But
Mhm.
that in this short period of time from meeting you, not only are we connected through Innovation Works, but also the fact that we from the same neighborhood. So you gotta tell me a little bit about how growing up in Park Heights has shaped where you are today. And of course, then we have to give some recognition to Western High, right? Because Dubs do it
Well,
better.
hold on. Right, right. So, first of all, shout out to Zone 15, Baltimore City, homegrown, raised. Okay, it's all through the DNA. That resilience, that hustle, that grind, that grit, all of that stuff that people talk about that is important to a successful journey in entrepreneurship. I got that from Ricestown and Garrison.
Hello.
Okay, straight like that. Now, poet. So, I always like to say I have the best of both worlds. So I grew up in Park Heights and then I went east for high school, graduated from the best
I
high
can't.
school. I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it out there.
I'm
The
gonna tell
best
you.
high school in Baltimore,
I'm
Paul
gonna let you. I'm
Paul
gonna let you have it
414
because you're the guest today.
P03 PP on 3. Yeah.
But you hit it on the nose. It's growing up and having this tenacity to want to do things, to want to do something. And I think it speaks to your passion for community. I mean, you are supporting one of the most vulnerable communities that exist. Um, and just tell us a little bit about what home helpers, home care, what do you do? If somebody was a little curious to narrow that in, if you could just give us a bit of what families can expect from your services.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought up that point because I spend so much time just educating families on basic stuff that sometimes when we're in our industries and we're in our subject matter expertise, we forget that a lot of people just don't know, right? So when you talk about elder care and senior living and aging in place, a lot of times when I say I have a home care agency, the first thing people will ask me is, how many homes do you have? So I'm not in assisted living. We are in home care. So we send our caregivers out to the private residences, and that could be a home, it could be a community, inside of an assisted living or independent living. And our caregivers go out and provide that one-on-one care. Caregivers can assist with everything from bathing, dressing, toileting, meal preparation, and the biggest thing, in my opinion, which is companionship. Because I'll give you a fact. Prior to COVID, there was a public health crisis already surrounding loneliness and isolation in seniors. So it was big studies being done, a lot of money being put into it because what they say is the result of isolation and loneliness is the same as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
So,
Mm.
as much as we have these beefs with each other and people don't like this and we taking sides and all that, the one thing that we all need as humans is humans. So
Yeah,
we need that human touch, that personal touch, that engagement, to keep us thriving. And I think that is the most rewarding, part of the service that we provide.
absolutely. And without diving all the way into it, that stat just shows us that as families, sometimes we are leaving out our elders, that we're
Yes.
not checking in on them or being there for whatever reason. This trend, like you said, did not start with the public health emergency in light of COVID. This is something
Mhm.
that has been there. So kudos to you and your team. That's a lot of heavy lifting. I asked you to tell us a little bit about what you all do because it's a lot in your day to day. But I'm going to add on top of that because that's not the only thing you do. Okay, it's not. As a matter of fact, you're serving on boards now, so you're not just CEO and placing these uh, caregivers, companion care. You're also deeply ingrained into the older adult population. Tell us how you're doing that.
Yeah. So look, when I have a passion about something, I'm full steam ahead. And so over these last several years building up this agency, there are so many gaps in supporting our Asian community. So just recently I have founded the Charm City Senior Care Alliance. And that is really foundation, a nonprofit that is forming that is going to bring senior care professionals in all aspects. So we're talking about end of life, we're talking about elder law, estate planning, all of that into forming relationships and how we can bridge these gaps in the city of Baltimore when it comes to our elderly and our Asian community in the city of Baltimore. So I am so excited about that.
You better
Well,
be.
the first meeting is Thursday, and what had 25 people signed up.
Oh, and guess what? I said I was. I haven't signed up, but I will be there. Like
Yeah,
it's that simple.
I'm so excited. It's time. Baltimore City, I mean, as you know, we have our challenges, and this is one. But I feel like with the right people that really support the Asian population, this is going to be something of magnitude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like I said, wow, I think of what's on your plate on a day to day, the foundation of this conversation to know how much you are doing, full time entrepreneur, starting a nonprofit so that all of these other resources that are needed are in place. You're not playing.
No, never was.
Not
Never
playing
was a
at
player.
all.
Right.
So
Never was.
when do you sleep?
I actually get good sleep. Now, are we segueing into a conversation?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because on the outside, and I follow you, the mindset snob. I
Mhm.
see, I see you taking self-care seriously.
Yes.
But I know I have some listeners who are, that to-do list never stops. It's always something going on. But how do we preserve the vessel that's making these things happen? Right. So
Mhm.
I want to take a segue into the day in the life or the day in the week of Bianca Wise. How do you make self-care non-negotiable?
You know what, Nick? So prior to me opening the home care agency, I was a first responder. So I worked for Baltimore County Fire Department for 20 years. When I retired, or left, I actually walked away. I didn't officially retire. Um, I was an EMS lieutenant. I was the first Black woman promoted in the history of Baltimore County
You see
Fire
my
Department
hands?
to the rank of
They
lieutenant.
hear me. Woo, 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 woo.
But when you go through a professional career that is really committed to nothing but illness, death, crisis, trauma, you start to see a different perspective. You start to think about life in a different way. And quick story, when I was promoted in 2012, I hit a brick wall.
Mm.
So being the first of anything is two sides. Is honorable, is admirable, but then it's stress. Because when you're the first to show up to do this, whatever that is,
Absolutely.
it's a different beast. And so when you're going into work every day trying to prove yourself on the defense and fighting the people that you're working with, body just shut down. And I got ill, deathly ill. Like I spent 9 days in the hospital. Initially, the doctors did not know what was wrong with me. But in hindsight, I was stressed. And my body had to reset itself. Because if you don't sit down, trust me, God is going to sit you down.
Oh, you sitting
Like
down.
one way or the
Might
other,
not be when you want.
exactly, he going to sit you down. And went through like a 3.5 month recovery period. And during that time, spent a lot of time in solitude. Um, and that was healing. It was redirection. It was refocus for me to kind of put things back into perspective of what was priority. So from that day forward, that was like the end of 2012 when I fell ill. I made a commitment to myself that I would never ever allow any outside factors to get me in a position like that. And that started a journey for me. So when I jumped full-fledged into business ownership, I just brought a lot of the practices and the habits and rituals that I had already established as the first responder.
Mm. I wonder if we all caught that mic drop, that a situation, which usually happens with us, right? Life shows up in one way or another. I got stories for days on that, but this interview is not about Nick. But one thing I hope that we all noted was there was a time where stress took its toll. It set you down. It was not a voluntary sit down, but it
Absolutely
was a
not.
learning lesson. And then you even took a moment to pause and reset your energy, not just physically. You took some time for a mental space, a mental break,
Mhm.
that pause.
Yep.
Now, you jump into entrepreneurship, you have this established regimen, like it is non-negotiable. What has been the most challenging part of full-time entrepreneurship?
I am going to say the most challenging part is so the one thing that I will say that I've always been victim to, my therapist. So I had a therapist early on. So
Hello, shouldn't we
before
all?
it was popular to have a therapist, I had a therapist. Okay. I need help.
Right.
So but my therapist had told me years ago that I get in trouble with the P word, potential.
Mm,
So I always see potential in other people before they see it in themselves. And a lot of times that comes with offering up or pushing forward opportunities for people because you see their potential, but they don't see it yet. And it just becomes a frustrating, disappointing journey to try to get people to just get out of their own way. And as a CEO, as a leader of a team of people, and I'm talking about numbers,
right.
it's not like 6 or 8. Like I'm talking about where state laws start to come in about having insurance and, and
Right.
all that type of stuff.
I told you you're not playing.
Right.
This for
Um,
real, for real.
and when you just have this diverse group of people and you like, come on, y'all. Like, just get out your own way. That has been my biggest challenge. Um, because of the workforce that I employ, a lot of them are young African American women. I see myself in them back when I was 19, 20, 21. And I'm like, girl, like you could,
Do you
like,
know where
let's
you
just
could
get
be
it
in 3 years
together.
if you just listen for a second?
Please. So I would say that has been my most challenging part. Um, But then it's extending grace to yourself, right? We don't know what we don't know. We will never get this whole thing completed. We will never know everything about it. So when you end your day, you extend grace to yourself and say, I did the best I could today. And I'm just going to get up and start again tomorrow.
Yeah. It's I call it capacity load. I started using that phrase where, the calendar or the clock might say, I have time to do this. I can let this be my project. But emotionally and mentally, the load is it's incapable.
Yep.
And when it comes to people, it's no surprise, that you see the value in people that they don't see for themselves. And your goal is to, as leaders, we do professional development.
Yep.
We want to see people thrive. And when they're the face of your business, they're carrying that reputation, but we also see ourselves.
Yep.
And that's can be a hard pill to swallow, and it can affect business because we're investing in people who have yet to understand what investing in themselves should be. Um, yeah, but you hit it on the nose. On one end, I asked the challenge and you talked about how to overcome it, right? Then it's like, you know what? I see where you are. I'll continue to work with you where you are. If you're
Yes.
ready to move in this direction, 100.
Exactly.
If you're not, we just gonna sit right here. We gonna
Yep.
sit here.
That's it.
But this self-care, happy to hear that you have a regimen, but I want to step into relationships just for a second. I've talked with a lot of my clients who are going through their health journey specifically and trying to navigate through a health journey, let alone keeping our health straight mentally, emotionally, and then
Mhm.
looking at support right next to us, right? Um, I'm married, you're married. We have husbands who I deem to be supportive. So
Mhm.
let's just talk advice. What advice would you give another entrepreneur or a professionally driven woman in a relationship who's locked in, focused, trying to get things
Mhm.
done. What's the advice for that woman who also desires to maintain a healthy, happy, mature relationship?
So that is a loaded
Yeah, I
question.
know it
There's
is. That's why
layers
I
to
said
it,
I'm gonna
right?
stick to advice. What do you
Right.
want to tell her?
But so this is like where the mindset snob comes in. Because a lot of times the way I think is different from what a lot of people think. But I'm gonna offer this up real quick anyway. So, like I said, when I felt ill, when I had that time of solitude, right? And solitude is an entire chapter of my book. Um, I got to know myself. Period. The end. I got to like myself. I got to love myself. And at that point, you develop boundaries and, expectations for yourself and a standard for yourself. So, for what that meant for me, when I met my husband, um, it was almost like an alignment.
Mm,
So, if you believe about how spirituality law works, was never out there chasing anybody. I was content with my life. You know why? Because I
Grandpa
love
Hanks.
me
Just kidding.
100%. Like, period. I didn't need for anything outside of me. I wasn't seeking anything outside of me that another man could pour into me. Like, I was never. So when he showed up, it was just like a perfect alignment.
Mm,
Now we had communication, the important stuff, the real talks prior to entering into the union. Sir, I don't have kids. I don't want kids. If you're looking for a woman to have kids, I am not your girl. Okay. Like I cook,
clear
but I ain't cooking every day. If you're looking for a woman, like we had these real, I was
conversation.
100% me. He was 100% him. And when we entered into the union, it was just the flow.
Mm.
Like nobody had that uh putting up, putting
Oh
on,
yeah.
but he
No
knew what
fronts.
my hair looked like, he knew what my bare face looked like. He like all of that, right? And the funny story behind that is 3 weeks before we were due to be married, I quit the fire department. And I went to him and I said, look, Leonard, I'm about to make this decision. I know we're about to get married, but this is
This
life
is what
with
it
the
is.
girl. So one, I just want to make sure you know what you're signing up for. And two, I don't want to drag you into no type of madness, disruption of your own life. This is the decision I'm making,
Wow.
and he's like, girl, go ahead and do it. I'm with you. So we just, I think what carries us through is we're friends, right? And an older mentor of mine told me a long time ago, you got to think about your intimate relationships as friends as well, because the one thing that we tend not to do is set out intentionally to hurt our friends.
That's right.
So if your spouse is your friend first, why would I intentionally want to hurt him or her?
Absolutely. It's that friendship because friends talk, friends share, friends aim to be on the
Argue,
same
fight,
page. Yeah, the whole
accuse each other of
nine.
stuff.
And would you say you balance pretty well time together, making sure that like it's
Yes,
not an option not to be together, spend time together,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a business owner as well. So,
Wow.
it has to be intentional. Like you can't believe people can read minds and think what you're, needing. Like open up your mouth and talk, communicate. Like date nights and all of that. You know what I like? Why are we sitting here playing
That's
games?
right.
Why are we at Applebee's and we ain't never ate at no Applebee's before? Why are you taking me here? Please don't ever take me. But it's fun.
Well, with
The
your wife
journey is
and
fun.
like yes. Well, according to knowledge, that is
Right.
printed. And that is that, it is so serious. Relationships can be funny, they can be work, they are hard work. And I think it's awesome when the two of you together um can build businesses, thrive, and support one another. You have something that's unique as well. Um, being married to an entrepreneur is that you both can understand some of the craziness
Yes.
that happens in between. So that is a plus. I know I was going to ask your biggest passion, but I already know that because of what you're in. Decades of experience helping the community through your work before deciding to jump into full-time entrepreneurship. But um, let's talk as we wind this up a bit, because you talked about the potential you see in others, and this desire to help the young women that we can't help but come in contact with, to kind of shift their mind to think future oriented with the things they do now. But
Mhm.
I'll flip it to that self-care theme again. If you were to think of the top three things that every woman needs to do, the top three things for herself. I mean, I think if you are listening and you decide to rewind this, you're going to catch quite a few gems throughout this
Mhm.
interview. But Bianca, if you could give us three tips on self-care, how can we keep ourselves together? What
Yes.
would they be?
So the first thing I would say is follow your joy, right? And that relates back to being in relationships. I think a lot of times people believe that when you're married, you lose a sense of independence. And that was something, that was discussed as well. What is my joy? My joy is I love to travel. So I need to be on a flight somewhere.
Yeah.
And my husband is either with me or he's not. Either way, Bianca is on a flight. Okay, because that brings me joy. He loves to play golf and watch Netflix specials. That's his
That's it.
joy, right? So find what your joy is and follow it. Okay. The second thing I would say is um because I think the thing about self-care, women believe that means we got to pour into something. I got to go get my nails done. I got to go get a massage. And a lot of times self-care is just going inward. So I believe, like I was talking earlier, solitude.
Mm,
Spend that time
mm,
by yourself, what I call minding my DAM and business. Okay. Go somewhere and mind your business, right? Whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. Find that time because it's so important. That is where you find your grounding. That is
mm.
when you start to hear the answers to your prayers and the directions that you need to be taken. The third thing I
Love
would
it.
say is to sleep.
Hello.
Please
Come on. We gotta get some sleep.
go to sleep. I am in the bed. Okay, and this is an ongoing joke. Bianca does not play about her sleep. If I'm out past 9 o'clock, you gotta be a special person.
My goodness. You a fly
Go
on
to
my
sleep
wall. Yeah.
in the
Like
bed,
9:30,
under
I'm
the
doing
covers,
this.
sleep. Go to sleep, please, ladies. At least
Get
I would say 6 hours. But that's too short for me. But
yeah,
I'm gonna say because I know
yeah,
people are busy, side hustles, children, and stuff. At the minimum, 6 hours. If you can get 8, that's even better.
yeah.
Go to sleep.
Sleep is sexy. I love it. I'm like, let's
I
three
will sleep.
things. Finding your joy. If you're not having fun, if you can't think of when the last time you laughed, if you are so stuck in your day to day that your daily actions are controlling and dictating your mood, it's time to take that step number two, that second thing. You got to pause, you got to shut off. You have to give yourself some time to think.
Mhm.
And I love that you said, mind your business. Like all these things we're doing, it's great if we're moving about. I always say social media shows like 10% of the action.
Exactly.
But if you aren't enjoying the action, if you are overwhelmed, I mean, and overwhelm happens, especially in our world.
Mhm.
But if you are not giving yourself some time to pause, shameless plug, you need to be at Amani Nicole Wellness. It's time for that hot nap for
That
real.
part.
And that's
Mhm.
going to go to that tip number 3. We're on the same page with that. Sleep is non-negotiable, 7 to 8 hours. I'm telling you, I don't
Girl.
care. Like special person after 9 o'clock, I struggle on the weekends to stay up. I try. Like it's a big deal when I can. But we underestimate that, right? You have a
Yes.
healthcare background,
Yep.
our metabolic system, if we don't sleep, we are like the car that we park with the key still in the ignition, waiting for us to get up the next morning to get in and drive
Yes,
off.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We gotta sleep.
And there's a whole process to sleep. And with my mindset mentoring, I'm going to develop a course about how to go to sleep.
We need it.
Like people they don't understand. Like it's a whole process to start shutting the brain activity down. Get off of social media and turn the TV off an hour before you are shutting your eyes. Let's talk about
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. It's serious. It is so, and it's connected. We never get to shut off the stress if we don't give
Yep.
our bodies a chance to reset. That's going to be the
Yep.
next topic. We going deep on the sleep.
I'll go to
And it's
sleep.
going to be before 9 o'clock.
Right. It's gonna be that simple.
I
How to take
promise.
your behind to sleep.
Yeah. We gotta go to bed, y'all. I'm telling you, our bodies will thank us. And I thank you, Bianca. I know, what is it, Tuesday? This week is a special week. I know I am planning on being there. Even if I'm hopping in, I have to be there. You're literally 5 seconds away from where I am, where we're located. I just want to do a quick recap and then have you close us out with how they can find you. You mentioned your book. You have this new Charm City Alliance. I just want you to reiterate that and how we can find you. But for those of you tuning in, this bonus extra special edition, this exclusive interview with the Mrs. Bianca Wise and how she is beautifully navigating entrepreneurship, knocking down barriers for the older adult population, taking care of our elderly, and at the same time, making sure that she's taking care of herself as well. Top 3 things we have to do: 1, find joy; 2, take some time for solitude so that we can readjust. And last, yes, we have to get sleep, which will definitely be our next conversation. And so, on behalf of Beautifully Well Conversations with your girl, Nick, Bianca, you have to tell us, how can we find you? How can we follow up? How can we get a hold of that book?
Absolutely. Yes. So anything relating to home care, Charm City Senior Care Alliance, please follow me on LinkedIn. That is where this whole story is evolving around elder care. If you if you or anyone you know is in need of home care services in the Baltimore or Montgomery County area, give us a call, 410-944-4380. We are here 24 hours. And the mindset snob, oh my goodness, that is my mindset mentoring, personal brand, personal development. Um, and so you can follow me at the mindset snob across all social media channels.
Awesome. Well,
Oh,
thank
and the
you.
book.
Oh,
The
yes.
book is available on Amazon. Oh, hold on.
I know you got
Amazon,
it. Yeah.
Books a Million, and I don't know if you can see it.
There we go. Now we
Um,
can.
yeah. Amazon, Books a Million, and Barnes and Noble, The Playbook of a Mindset Snob, Mastering Your Mind for Success.
Love it. And thank you again for tuning in. We'll make sure we include that information in the podcast as well. And as also always, beautifuls, thank you for tuning in and can't wait to see you in the next episode.